everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to explain fatty acid oxidation, which comes under metabolism of lipids. Now the basic question which comes is, why is this beta oxidation occurring? What is beta oxidation and where does it occur? So let's answer the question why. Fatty acid oxidation occurs during starvation. This is because the glucose level is depleted and the energy is required by the muscles. So the triglycerides stored in adipose tissues are hydrolyzed to free fatty acid, which provide energy to muscle. Now what is beta oxidation? It is the oxidation of fatty acid on beta carbon atom. There is alpha and omega oxidation also, but beta oxidation is more prominent. Result of beta oxidation? Formation of acetyl-CoA and of course release of energy. Now where does this beta oxidation occur? Location: it occurs in most of the tissues of body except brain, erythrocytes and adrenal medulla. Then there are stages of beta oxidation. First is activation of fatty acid occurring in cytosol. Second is transport of fatty acid into mitochondria. And third is beta oxidation proper in mitochondrial matrix. So let's see the stages in detail. Stage 1, that is activation of fatty acid. It is activated to acyl-CoA. So fatty acid is converted to acyl adenylate by activity of thiokinase. ATP is used in this reaction, and then acyl adenylate with the help of CoA combines with CoA, it forms acyl-CoA and AMP is released. Second stage, transport of acyl-CoA into mitochondria. So as you can see, in the cytosol, the stage 1 has occurred and fatty acid has been converted to fatty acyl-CoA. Now this fatty acyl-CoA will combine with carnitine, which comes from the mitochondrial membrane. This fatty acyl carnitine will go by CPT1 on outer mitochondrial membrane to the CPT2 on inner mitochondrial membrane. As soon as the fatty acyl carnitine enters the mitochondrial matrix, it will split into fatty acyl-CoA and carnitine. This carnitine will again go back from CPT2 to CPT1 and outside to combine with fatty acyl-CoA and then transport it into the mitochondria. The fatty acyl-CoA, which is already transported in mitochondria, will undergo stage 3, that is beta oxidation proper, and form acetyl-CoA. Now let's see beta oxidation proper. Now the acyl-CoA that has entered into the mitochondria will form trans-enoyl-CoA under the activity of acyl-CoA dehydrogenase, and here FADH2 is formed. This FADH2 will go into the ETC to give 1.5 ATP. Then the trans-enoyl-CoA will form beta-hydroxyacyl-CoA under the activity of enoyl-CoA hydratase. Here water is required. Then the beta-hydroxyacyl-CoA will form beta-ketoacyl-CoA under the activity of beta-hydroxyacyl-CoA dehydrogenase. Here NADH plus H plus is formed, which will undergo ETC to give 2.5 ATP each. The beta-ketoacyl-CoA formed undergoes the activity of thiolase to give acyl-CoA and acetyl-CoA. Now the acyl-CoA will again participate into this reaction and the acetyl-CoA formed will go into the Krebs cycle. Now, as you can see, there's this reaction given where there is deficiency of acyl-CoA dehydrogenase. That deficiency of acyl-CoA dehydrogenase causes blockade of beta oxidation, and this leads to SIDS. SIDS is sudden infant death syndrome. This deficiency is due to medium chain acyl-CoA dehydrogenase. Then next step, we can see the overall beta oxidation reaction. So if you see n number of carbon acyl-CoA plus FAD plus NAD plus H2O plus CoASH will give carbon chain n-2 acyl-CoA. Why n-2? Because 2 carbons from this fatty acid chain have been given out into the acetyl-CoA. So acetyl-CoA is formed and FADH2 plus NADH plus H plus is formed. So this FADH2 and NADH plus H plus, these undergo the ETC reactions to give you ATP. So let's see the energetics if we are considering palmitic acid oxidation. Palmitic acid is 16 carbon fatty acid. So it will give 8 acetyl-CoA and there will be the requirement of 7 cycles. Now as there are 7 cycles occurring, they will give 7 FADH2 and 7 NADH plus H plus. So if we calculate it accordingly, 7 cycles will overall give 28 ATP. And the 8 acetyl-CoA formed will undergo TCA cycle and each acetyl-CoA gives 10 ATP. So 8 acetyl-CoA will give 80 ATPs. So together it is 108 ATP. But as we know, we need activation of fatty acid and the enzyme thiokinase needed ATP. 2 ATPs. So minus 2 ATPs. So net yield of one molecule of palmitate or palmitic acid gives 106 ATP. Now palmitic acid is even carbon chain fatty acid. What about odd carbon chain fatty acid? So the last product of odd carbon chain fatty acid apart from acetyl-CoA will be propionyl-CoA. What will happen to this propionyl-CoA? Propionyl-CoA will undergo carboxylase activity with the help of biotin and ATP and form dimethyl-malonyl-CoA. This dimethyl-malonyl-CoA epimerase will act on it and form L-methyl-malonyl-CoA. Now methyl-malonyl-CoA mutase in presence of coenzyme B12 will form succinyl-CoA, and this succinyl-CoA will enter TCA to give you energy. So this is the basics of beta oxidation. I've covered almost everything. So thank you so much and we will meet again in the next video.